All right, it's the blame game in California. Governor Gavin Newsom doesn't really want to take any blame for the horrific fires that have consumed Southern California. Him and Bass, the mayor of LA, are going back and forth trying to shift blame. Even the fire chief of their fire department is also trying to point the finger at everyone else. So, what should we make of all of this? Joining me now to discuss is the great congresswoman from the beautiful state of Tennessee. Congressman Tim Burchett joins me now. Congressman, I got to thank you for joining me. You've been honest on X too about this issue because, Gavin Newsom is now out here showing all of these fires, and he's doing his photo ops and his interviews with the mainstream media, but he's refusing to accept blame. President Trump has warned him in the past that this was going to happen, and even the insurance companies knew it was going to happen and pulled out very quickly from the state of California. And now he's sitting here just saying, "Don't politicize this. This is a disaster." And we did our very best. But did they really do their best?
Well, thanks for having me on. And first of all, he's already politicized it. The great governor down there in California, he's using it as a fundraiser. And so anytime my mama used to say, I'd hate to make my living off the suffering of others. And clearly, this is nothing's too low for them to reach down to. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he has complete blame for this. They've been warned about this. They did not fill the reservoirs. They did everything they could to just appeal to the environmental wacko left. And this is obviously not a global warming issue. It's a global lunacy issue
Mm-hmm.
with the people. And I tweeted on X. I think I had over 500,000 views of a tweet. I said the people of California need to quit blaming the politicians. They need to blame themselves. They're the ones that elected these people, that put them in power. And I know they're going to say, well, they stole elections, they did this, they did that, but they had to put them in power in the beginning so they could continue to steal. They'll continue to do that. Hollywood, I hear these people saying, "Oh, they've changed, they're turning." No, they won't, because
Mm-hmm.
they sold their soul to the devil. If they're successful, mostly in Hollywood. There's a few out there that aren't, but you've got vast numbers that are, and they just keep doing it and keep doing it, and they'll keep electing them, and you'll see more and more people leave there, and the only people that will stay there are the complete haves and the completely have-nots, the ones that just can't get away.
Yeah. And it's true. And that's the heartbreaking part in all of this because although, there's those beautiful houses on the water that we're seeing, there's also average Americans who have lost everything. And many are saying that, hey, listen, we lost our fire insurance just days before this happened. And so they don't have any type of resources. And you turn to the governor, and the governor is just sitting here, and he's saying, "Oh, well, the water reservoirs weren't my job, so I have no responsibility in any of this." But he actually tried yesterday. I want to play this clip from Meet the Press yesterday because he got caught in a lie, and he got fact checked, and then he tried his hardest to flip it all around. Let's take a listen because it's a great one.
I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt in reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full, the state reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
It's insane because a lot of these water officials are actually some of the highest paid in the state. We were going through it, opened the books, did a whole breakdown of all of it, and they're actually they're the top paid ones. Some of them even making with overtime potentially $800,000. So,
Yeah.
what do you make of all of this? Because he's caught in a lie, and now he's trying to say, "Well, I'm calling for investigations" because he's looking to shift blame.
Well, clearly he's in everybody's sights, and he knows it, and he's double talking right there. It's
Mhm.
if the water was there and it was available, they should have been using it and offering it. And the truth is, Trump warned them. He talked about it. He actually cleared up a situation where they could get water, and Gavin Newsom turned them down years ago. and this is what they get. They keep going with these crazy liberal policies. They go to the extremes. Everybody else in the world, they say, "Oh, we'll save the fish. Let's make some concessions here. Let's set up a special thing," like salmon, for instance. They tore down 3 or 4 dams, and everybody else in the world builds these stair steps for salmon to get upstream. But yet, in California, they tore down the dams. There's no way to hold the water back. It goes right in the Pacific Ocean. It's just complete political double talk. And again, they keep electing these people and they expect something different, and this is what they get. This is what they
Yeah.
get. If I was advising people politically in California, I understand they already have a recall petition that was already been filed prior to this. So I suspect it's if people can find a pencil, if it's not burned up, they'd be glad to sign on to it. But if I was advising somebody politically, I would find somebody a little bit outside of the system and I would take him on. I would say, this is our alternative. Let's put somebody in place that knows what to do. That's from California. It's not a carpetbagger like this guy is, and put them in place because this will continue to repeat itself.
Yeah. And there's no room for improvement with California Democrats because they're making it very clear that fixing these issues really isn't a top priority for them. Earlier today, we learned that California Democrats reached an agreement for $50 million to go towards pretty much just fighting Donald Trump and everything that he's going to be pushing forward legally, and even giving half of that to fight those who are being deported by the Trump administration. So they had a special session, pushed that forward to make sure that they could fight the president on anything he's looking to bring forward. But they didn't really do anything for the people who just lost all of their homes. Now we're seeing certain California Democrats turn to the federal government and say, well, now we need a bailout through FEMA and through other budget related issues for get more spending here to help these people out, these residents out who just lost everything. Congressman, would you support, just based on how things are going right now, would you support giving the state of California money in regards to these fires for those who have lost their homes? Because they're not really talking about how can we fix the issue. They're just asking for more money with their wallets out.
No, I wouldn't. As a matter of fact, we just gave $100 million to FEMA, and the people up in Upper East Tennessee and North Carolina are still living in tents without electricity and water. And this weekend, a bunch of them were kicked out of their motel rooms because allegedly FEMA had run out of money. So no, why do we want to give a corrupt government, which is what we have in Washington D.C.? Why would you want to give them any more money to distribute anywhere? If they're not going to fix the problem, this is infuriating to me because of these federal programs that rebuild houses on the water that get washed away 3 times in 10 years or what have you. This is not our problem. We did not cause this problem, and we sure as heck won't fix it by throwing more money of our grandkids' money. Because right now, any money we spend, we are just printing. We are just borrowing that money from the future. So again, that just decreases the value of our dollars. We put $200 billion into Ukraine. People in North Carolina and Upper East Tennessee, the Appalachian folks, have got nothing. They even turned people away for that stupid $700 that the vice president talked about because they didn't have proper identification. Well, guess what? It all got washed away in a dadgum flood. I'm sure the people out there, they're gonna. And when Biden says he's going to make all them whole, that just turns my stomach. That these, you got poor people or maybe poorer people in my area that well, honestly, they vote pretty conservative. They're not getting anything. And you got these wealthy liberals in California. They're gonna pay for everything when their houses are built on a tinder box. They didn't allow the proper environmental concerns to be taking place. They don't do controlled burns. They don't remove undergrowth. They did not fill up their reservoirs, and this is what they got. And then
Yeah.
you've got a
Yeah.
clown governor. I tweeted earlier today, Nero was fiddling while Rome burned, and he's pretty much Nero, and this is pretty much Rome burning.
Yeah. And it's infuriating. Like you just said, this was all avoidable. There was an article from October that came out about those control burns that you were just talking about, how the state of California decided not to do it this year. And the headline literally says, is it worth the risk? And now we're living in that risk that they took. And sadly, it's devastating, yes. But like you just mentioned, people in North Carolina, in Tennessee, they're still living outside. I actually have a follower on X who lives in North Carolina and has been very, very kind and messaging me initially because he needed Starlink. He lost everything. They lost their school. He was working at a school, Christian school in North Carolina, and he lost everything. And sadly, what happened was he's not able to feed families who need to be fed. And so, we've tried pulling our resources together, but I checked up on him just a couple of days ago around the holidays. I heard they were going to go through a really cold couple of days. And he's practically in the same position as he was before, maybe improved a little bit. But again, we have Americans who are now in the winter and they can't even get heat in their homes or whatever kind of shelter they've been able to get together. They are going through it right now in North Carolina, and everyone's turned to California because that's the left's donors. LA, Hollywood, all those people have donated to them for a very long time. So it's pretty disgusting to see how quickly we have to turn. Congressman, before you go though, you've done an incredible job, and I want to highlight just that. You recently sent a letter over to President Donald Trump saying that we need to pull all funding from the Taliban. Now, the reason why I think this is so insane, it's a great job on your part, but we're literally begging our federal government to stop funding terrorist organizations. So
Yes,
what's
ma'am.
going on here? And do you think President Trump's going to be able to do this?
Well, I passed a bill last year in the House, and honestly enough, I couldn't get any senators to even take it up.
So crazy.
And so that kind of disgusts me about the whole thing. And now I'm refiling the bill. And with the help of you all, and heck, even Elon Musk chimed in. They asked President Trump, a very good reporter, asked President Trump about that down at Mar-a-Lago, and he said, he was aware of it, and he thought it was a lot more money going overseas, which it is. But the 40 million a week getting to the Taliban, they hate us. They'll hate us for free. We don't need to be paying them. And shame on the Senate for not bringing the bill up and letting it die. And so I'm bringing it back again. And we've made it tougher this time because with Trump in the White House and the attention it's getting, I dare somebody to vote against it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Sean Ryan's done an incredible job at too exposing all of
Yeah.
this. So
Sean is he brought it to me. He told me about it, and I shook my head in disbelief, but I wasn't surprised when I dug into it. And he did an excellent job. Him and Legend and a few other folks got a hold of that thing, and I was glad they got it to me because I'm running with that one.
yeah, well, that's a really important one. It should be a top priority for the new session. So we'll see how that all plays out. Congressman, I want to thank you for joining me as always. It's always great to catch up with you.
Thank you, ma'am. And as always, it is my pleasure. Thank you.
Putting a show like this together isn't easy. It takes a lot of manpower, and we're looking to expand. I gotta say, folks, it's not easy. It takes me about 14 hours a day to put this show together, and I need some assistance because we're about to get a lot of documents coming from our federal government very, very soon. So if you would like to help me out and help this program out, head on over to supportbree.com. That is a platform we've set up to help us keep independent journalism alive. Supportbree.com. That's supportbre.com. It's done through DonorBox, so it's safe and secure, and you get to pick the dollar amounts. And then you get to pick whether or not you want to make a monthly or a one-time donation. The monthly donations are extremely beneficial because it helps us come up with a budget. So again, folks, it is supportbree.com. It's done through DonorBox, safe and secure, and it helps keep journalism alive. Real journalism, though, independent journalism. So again, folks, head on over to supportbree.com because I greatly appreciate it when you support my work as an independent journalist.